Now, hundreds of protesters have taken to the streets of Niger's capital to demand the departure of United States troops after the military government further shifted its strategy by ending a military accord with the U.S. and welcoming Russian military instructors marching arm in arm through central Niamey on Saturday. The crowd waved Nigerian flags in a demonstration that recalled anti-French protests that spurred the withdrawal of France's forces from Niger last year after the army seized power in a coup. The protest is a show of support for the military government and its decision in mid-March to revoke an accord that had allowed around 1,000 U.S. military personnel to operate on its territory out of 2 bases. Joining us on the news is Dr. Ambrose Igboke, a global affairs analyst, and will be shedding more light to this. Dr. Ambrose, thank you so much for your patience and time.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on the show.
So, what is driving the surge in anti-American sentiment among protesters in the Niger Republic? Is it the arrival of the Russian troops, or there are other factors to it?
Basically, the problem has been that the people of Niger are tired of France, America, and the West on the exploitation of the people for a very long time. So they know that the successive presidents of Niger have been puppets of the West, especially France and the United States. And and they have been suffering all this while. So they saw the coup plotting last year that overthrew the democratic government as a kind of a messianic event that, will free them from the bondage of the West. So for them, they don't blame the failure of the economic failure on their past leaders. They blamed it on the manipulation of America and France. By large extent, the citizens are correct because that is why continually all over Africa and most parts of Africa, the West try to impose their candidates as presidents of the country so that they can have a free will. And this is evident in the, the kind of bilateral and multilateral relationship in terms of business and other agreements that they have with the United States of America, where no sovereign country should even allow to happen. But it has happened, like the Defense Pact they have, the agreement they have in 2012, and all those kind of things. So I think that is why the people feel that for the first time in a very many years, they want to breathe again. They want to do away with imperial, strangulation of the United States of America and France. But funny enough, they are not freeing themselves. They are just replacing one slave master with another slave master.
Dr. Igboke, that's actually where I'm going, because we talked about the exploitation of the West and all whatnot. So then I want to ask, these Russian troops that are in Niger are here with training equipment to teach military skills and use hardware. Now, Niger is doing away with the West, as it were, and is trying to embrace the Kremlin. What do you make of this? Are you comfortable about this newly established relationship with Kremlin? Do you think that Russia would not also exploit Niger?
There's no free meal. There's no free ticket in international diplomacy and bilateral, multilateral relationships. It's only Africa that, or some third world countries, including most of African countries, that do bilateral relationships and give away everything without getting anything in return. And it's Africa, and that's why Africans have been impoverished, because a lot of African countries enter these relationships without getting anything. But for the West, and for a lot of the European countries, even China and most of other countries, the Asian countries, when they're coming to you for bilateral relationships or multilateral relationships, they have the upper hand. They always get more. They make sure that Africa becomes a dumping ground for their technology and for their products. They make sure that Africa doesn't give anything in return. So when Russia comes in, is there any relationship, bilateral agreement that I've had with Russia that has not been put into public space? And if there is, we need to know the content of that agreement. Just like we had the content of the American agreement, the Niger signed with America in 2012. Where all kinds of things you will not imagine, my brother, all kinds of things are there. that exemption of tax from American personnel that's on ground, that they can use any airfield, any airport without paying airport charges, that they cannot be prosecuted, that in fact the kind of diplomatic immunity that they have, they cannot be prosecuted, they cannot be held liable. Any type of vehicle they are using that is coming into Niger cannot be taxed, cannot be checked, cannot be, so they are actually living above the law. In fact, they are even above the law. They are even more protected than the president of Niger in terms of constitutional immunity. And that's the kind of agreement that Niger went to sign in 2012. So that is very dangerous for Africa, and that's what we have been doing. So if you say the good riddance for that kind of agreement, I support Niger with that. But again, what are they replacing it with? That is the problem. If the American troops that are up to 1,000 are still on ground and you're inviting Russians, what is the consequence of that? Because are you trying to make Russia and America be in direct confrontation in your country? The consequences will be too much for your country. You would have sent the American troops packing before inviting the Russians to come in. So I don't know the intricacies of these actions. But Americans should go first before you have. Then what is the baggage? Because Russians must come with their baggage. We need to know the baggage Russians are coming with.
Okay, Dr. Igboke, so one last thing before I let you go. Last week, ECOWAS said that the Francophone countries, including Niger, will be losing out on multi-billion dollar opportunities, businesses, investments that should come to them because they've said that they are severing ties with the regional bloc. Now, they've told France to leave. They're telling US to leave. They're trying to embrace Russia. Finally, what do you think the end game will be? Do you think they will succeed with these realignments they're trying to make? Because we know that there are security issues as it confronts Niger, Mali, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and the likes, and that is a big issue with an economy that is not that buoyant. Do you think this realignment will portend something positive for them socio-economically and security-wise, or they might just be shooting themselves in the leg?
Niger has nothing to lose by leaving ECOWAS. ECOWAS is just bluffing. What is the multi-billion-dollar industry, the business they're talking about? A multi-billion-dollar business that favors the United States, France, Germany, and all those countries. It doesn't favor African countries. So there have been multi-billion dollars in businesses in the last 60 years in Africa, and it has not favored the African continent. So Niger has nothing to lose, actually, if it bluffs, if it called the bluff of ECOWAS. And then, on the other hand, too, there is a new force emerging in Africa in terms of economic exploitation. Gradually, because of the tight grip and the kind of exploitation that doesn't favor Africa that the West have practiced, the BRICS nation are trying to move in. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which form the BRICS nation. And out of all, the South Africa is already in the African continent. It's a very big.
Dr. Ambrose Igboke, okay, I think we just lost a connection with him there, but then we appreciate the fact that we're able to talk to you and get some details from you. Maybe some other time we'll be able to get more details.